All right, so we're at that point in time in the challenge where some people are really feeling the struggle of it, and some people are feeling all the freedoms that have come along with it. And this is that moment in time where you get to kind of look at where you're at, where you what you'd hope for, and where you're at in relationship with that, and ultimately what your habits are. And so when you look at the difference between where you're at, what you'd hope for where you're at, that gives you the contrast. And that contrast gives you that place of potential frustration, because if there's a gap or a divide between what you desire and where you're at, and you really haven't taken the proper actions, you can have a lot of frustration that fills in that space. And so what do you do at those moments in time where you've got these deadlines that you set for yourself, and maybe you have some less than favorable circumstances? Is you have to ask yourself, really, what's the point? And we talked about this a few conversations ago. Is this about the points, or is it about the point? The point being the purpose behind why you're doing this. And I believe if you go back to that purpose, back to the real point of the matter, you can find that intrinsic motivation for continuing on in your health. Because the challenge is really not about finishing a certain level of points, but the challenge is about you becoming a better you than you were before. That you actually have chosen to upgrade your lifestyle at some capacity and level. And so you can do one of basically many things, but one of two main things at this point. You can either say, the challenge is coming down to the end, and I haven't done as well as I wanted to, if you're in that boat, because some people are doing really great and some people aren't doing as great. Or you can say, you know what? I'm going to give it my all for these last 8 days. I'm going to really look at my purpose, what the point really was, and I'm going to create my own little 8-day, let's see what I'm about. Let's see what my purpose is. And that's going to give you a chance to focus then at this point in time, and to be able to say, hey, I want some support for these last 8 days. I really want to dig in there. And the reality, though, is that if you've had some things in the past that have distracted you, if you keep those same distractions, you're not going to have a great next 8 days. So first you have to make the decision you want a next great 8 days of your life. And then you have to start with, what am I going to do? Get really clear about the next step. That's the main thing. What's the next thing I'm going to do to make this great 8 days? So maybe I'm going to go on tonight and I'm going to log on, or tomorrow morning, first thing, I'm going to set this up, or I'm going to reach out for support and say, hey, here's where I'm at, it's real, and here's what's going to happen next. And that's that group who's in that place where maybe there's a gap or a divide between what you'd hope for and desired and where your current reality is, where it really is. Now, a lot of people, this is a thing that could change your life if you hear this or you receive it. But a lot of people, they have never really taken the time to do realistic thinking. And realistic thinking is one of those things where you actually look at what's going on in my life, where am I really at with things, and you're facing those truths, not these oh yeah, things are going pretty good. How people ask you off the street, how's that going? And we automatically say what?
Fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's kind of not fine. Yeah, things are good. Oh yeah, real good. How are you? It's kind of a normal thing. Well, what I'm asking you to do is not do that for yourself. Okay, I get the pleasantries of our society and our culture, but I'm talking about for yourself. If you do that and you cover up the truth, you actually can't get good GPS coordinates to the next destination because you're giving improper data, right? And there's a part of you, when I say improper data, meaning there's a part of your subconscious mind down the side that knows you're not being truthful about it. You're not really being honest. Did you really do all the workouts you were hoping to or not? They'll say, yeah, I did okay. If you know that you don't really feel that you have that, you can say that. But that doesn't mean you need to beat yourself up over it. Even if there's feelings associated with this that maybe are going to be negative, that's a point where you go, okay, not only am I here where I'm at, I also can see that I don't feel really good about it. All right? Acknowledged. Now, I'm giving you a little bit of a fast-track version on this, but when you do realistic thinking, you're able to say, okay, so now that I've acknowledged that, what's the worst? Okay, am I dead? Did this kill me to actually get real? No, you're just being truthful with yourself. You're saying, the reality is I've fallen off of this part of my plan, or I've fallen off of this part. you can try and put the show on for face value, but it's not going to get you healthy. So that's just the facts. So when you do that, then you're able to say, now that I'm here, regardless of how many days we've had in the challenge or how many points you could have got, that's over. That's over. Here you are right now. What do you want to do now for the next 8 days of your life? And how can you use the challenge as a tool to help you do that? Now, when I say use the challenge, I'm talking about the components of it, not the whole I have to get 400 points or 300 and however many points your points are to win it or not. And even those of you who have a lot of points, who are over the top, it's really to say to yourself, what could I do with the rest of these days to move me forward to a better, healthy place? So I'm going to stop there just for a moment, and I want to kind of get some feedback from people who have kind of been listening in as to what that's meant for you and how you could use that, or if you have any questions about that.
No, I think you've got a good point, Alex. I think, I mean, nobody's perfect, so we all slip, we all get off track, we all do that, and the goal is just to take that, go to the next step, and go forward with it. So it's not even about just the next 8 days of the challenge. It's about the rest of your life. At least for me, I mean, it's the challenge and forward. So I think you just, no matter what happens, you just turn around and thank you. You just turn around and take the next step. Like, you just get rid of the cookies and the brownies. Honey, throw those cookies out. No, I'm just kidding.
Apparently, she only has free cookies at her hotel. There we go.
That's right.
I do.
Yeah. But, nobody's going to stay 100% on track all the time unless they've just got, I don't know, who can do that? We all have situations. I had a situation where I was unprepared the other day. We took off and we had to go to pick up some parts, and I didn't leave enough stuff in the car because it was too hot and everything was melty and getting nasty, so I took it all out. And so we stopped and we ate, but you just make healthy choices and you go on from there. It wasn't 5 and 1 because obviously when I got home I ate dinner. So, but you just go. That was then, and now this is this next moment. So.
I love that coming into this moment, and that present thinking allows you to get real and reset right there. And it lets you create this space right here. And this space, this little narrow space I'm showing is right now. And it lets all those concepts and all that other stuff just kind of be where they were. And you're able to say, okay, yeah, I hear you. I see that. I know what happened there. And I have all these feelings. Okay, what do I want right now? All right. Mm-hmm. And coming back to that moment. And like you talked about, the rest of your life. And, sometimes, this is what I think. I think sometimes when we think too big, like big picture, like it gets kind of vague when you think too far out, like what's 20 years like going to be like or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's a hope or an aspiration. I mean, that's not even an aspiration. That's like a hope. It's an ambition. It's really big. So when you narrow the focus down, but understand that obviously the medium frame shot, this 8 days or these next 30 days or the next year of your life, obviously is going to play a role in the rest of your life, clearly. Mm-hmm. But when we focus that down, then we can kind of go, you know what I'm responsible for today, right now.
Yeah, 1 minute, one moment at a time.
That's right. Now I can handle my next choice, right?
Right.
And that's something that I can go, oh, I don't have to bring all the baggage of all that. Now get me wrong. If you're riding a wave right now, so here's that other side. If you're riding a wave of a lot of success, meaning you did it, and you're starting to see it and feel it and all that stuff, oh, stay on the wave. Don't lose that, because your present moment is that right now I want to keep riding this wave. Mm-hmm. But if you're off the wave and your present moment is I'm not on the wave, I'm going to jump up and jump on for these 8 days. I'm going to ride it for 8 days, mm-hmm. And then obviously I'm going to talk about what do you do when we start to get to the end of the 8 days? Is it over? Right? And Terry, you brought up a good point. Okay. Any other comments or questions about that first line of kind of thinking? Good to see you, Jean.
Hi.
Hi. Right on.
I think it's pretty cool what my mom said about, she left it, she was unprepared. It's just a fact. It's not the end of the world. And when she went into wherever she stopped to eat, she probably made a much better choice than she would have made if she wasn't on a plan. And so I think you have to give yourself credit for what you are doing. And it's just like the little kid who comes home with all the grades on the report card, A, B, B, A, B, F. And most of the time we have a natural tendency to focus on the F, when the truth of the matter is there was a lot of good on that report card. And so, giving yourself a little bit of credit and thinking about, what gets the attention gets rewarded, and what when you maybe didn't make a good choice in the first place to not be prepared, sets you up for success, like you said, Alex, for the next choice. So that was pretty cool.
It is. And you look at the synergy where you did, Carrie, is you put your energy, your energy flows where your attention goes, right? Everybody kind of experienced this before. If you focus on what you did wrong, that's where your energy is going to go, and that's going to set you up for more wrong.
Well, here's the thing.
You're like, what the heck? I'll just eat more. Okay, well, I'll have the double bacon cheeseburger. May as well throw in some French fries, and hey, why don't you give me a couple extra of those dipping sauces? Now, that's not my personal experience. That's a friend that I knew. That's not me.
That was probably me sitting next to you sometime in the past. But it's gone. So why waste any time, energy, or anything on dwelling on that moment? Go forward.
Yeah.
Now, am I slowing down, or is my internet staying strong with you guys?
You're fine.
Okay, got it. Because both of you guys will slow down, I think, for a moment. So having said, all of that right there is about that. It's about bringing your focus back. So if there's one thing after all these things we talked about, is I'd like to bring us to this point where it's about focus. And focus, if it's focused enough on a particular window, there's a specific frame. I want you to picture the camera lens opening up to a big picture, or a really narrow, tight frame, super micro, like a speck on a bug size picture. Okay? That's so close, right? But now you come back and you go to medium frame where you can see some details. There's a certain frame that's actually a good frame that you can really truly find the internal motivation to go for that next step. And you have to find that spot. And I'll give you an example here. If you think about just being a completely optimal and healthy person, it's so big that you can't really grasp out exactly how that looks. So you can't really get that motivated by it because it's too big to kind of put your finger on. It's kind of like a picture of the world, right? It's a big picture. But if you go so focused and all you can see is this little brown thing and you kind of I don't know what that is, you can't really get motivated about that because you're busy trying to figure out just everything. You're so in it. But if you pull back and realize that brown thing was a speck of sand on a beach with a nice blue water, and there's a cabana sitting right there, and there's these palm trees, and you're going, oh, that's kind of exciting. See, one was just this big, huge picture of the world, the whole thing, and one was a speck of sand, which is a part of the world, but one was that frame that you can go, that feels good. You see what I mean?
Yeah.
And if we do that with our health, and we go, you know what? I'm actually going to picture myself feeling good. I'm going to picture myself moving in a life and in a body that I like. Is that worth it? Is that worth having a good day of choices? That can influence my choices. Mm-hmm. See, I believe it's possible for my body to look a little better. I believe that. I can look a little better. I believe I can actually do that. I think I can make it feel a little better. So sometimes, and here's what I mean. You might have a body or a certain feeling in yourself is so far off from what you want that if you try and think about the full thing, some part about you just doesn't believe it or can't believe it, right?
Yeah.
But if you could just think about something, could you go for another choice or another couple pounds, or could you go for a little bit better movement than you have now and go, that's possible, I could do that? Well, then get yourself to that rung on the ladder then. Just go for that. And then when you get there, make another decision. Could I go look a little bit better? Could I go for that next little bit of feeling a little bit better? Is that possible? Could I own that, like own that land and that territory? And the analogy I want to give you on that is another land analogy. It's like this. I'm sitting here and I decide I'm going to conquer the entire United States, and I'm going to like take over all the land. Oh, not only that, I'm going to conquer South America, and I'm going to conquer, and I'm going to go over the seas, and I'm going to conquer Russia, and I'm going to own all that, and I'm going to have all that. That's such a big, thing right there where I'm not going to really be that I'm not saying I want to conquer it, but if I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to conquer that land. I don't have the resources. I can't even see where that's fathomable. I can't even reach that far. But if I say, you know what, I want to own one day this little 5,000 square foot lot of land. I want that to be mine, right? See, I can go, I could do that. So why don't you go for that? And then once I own that, I can go, I want to own this other little 5,000 square foot parcel. You see what I mean? And that we can do that with our health. Own your next little bit. Now, some people have enough vision because maybe they've taken down 20, 30, and they're intrinsically motivated, and they're like entrepreneurs of health. They're like, I can focus on the whole 100 pounds, baby. Let's go for it. That's who I am, right? But you have to truly be honest with yourself. You really feel that intrinsically fired up when you think about losing the whole 100. Does that really get you all stoked? Or can you say, you know what, if I could just get into that next size or feel that little bit, or if I could go from being able to walk for 2 miles with energy, and just if I could go for that extra, I believe I could do 3 miles. Like, I believe I could own that. I'm going to stop and just let you guys give me what you think about that medium frame, finding your perfect sweet spot to focus in for that internal motivation versus too much or too narrow. What do you think?
I was just going to say that Dean, my husband, likes it when he gets to the next number on the scale. So if he's in the, let's just use a fictitious number. If he's at one something, okay, if he's at let's say 180, and now he gets to 179, now he's in the 170s, and I really like how he does that, because it literally it's like, okay, now he just chunks it down into bite-sized pieces, 10 pounds at a time, and I really like doing that. It makes it a lot more attainable.
Absolutely. Anybody else? Okay, so now think about this for yourself, not just in general. What is it for you? Because you will find, if you find that little sweet spot where you can focus on something that's the right size for you, and you can kind of see the aspects of it, it can change the underlying structure. Now, here's what I mean. Water flows over a riverbed a certain way. And what is it that dictates the way that water flows over that riverbed?
The terrain.
The underlying structure, the terrain, right?
Yeah.
I could try and force that water to go another way by some other manipulative external factors, but at the end of the day, those underlying forces, it's going to take a lot of energy for me to try and physically redirect that water. I'm going to burn up a lot. That's called willpower. I'm going to try. And that's when you really don't have that true internal motivation to go after something. You're just saying it because everybody else is. You're excited for a short time. But if you change the riverbed by putting a rock over here and changing it, the water's going to flow differently. Well, what that means is that your energy, how it flows, if you're going against the structure of who you are, again, picking goals that really aren't motivating to you because you're supposed to, or because other people have told you, or picking a goal that's so big that you can't really visualize it that much, then again, your body's going to revert back to what it knows it can do and what it can maintain. So by giving it that little focus, but knowing that that's part of a bigger picture, this is the key. If you're going to, like, we're going to go with Dean's analogy. Dean busts himself into the 170s. He can focus on that. Now, if that's his only goal, then most likely he's going to go right back after he achieves his goal. But if he says, you know what, my actual goal, let's say, is to be healthy and thrive and striving, and one of these components is to basically get myself down to 165 as my ideal optimal healthy weight. So we're going to pretend like that's just a part of his strategy. and he realizes he can hunt, he can fish, he can do all these things for as long as possible at this weight. Then when he goes from like 200 to 190, he's like, I hit that wrong. He can then stop and say, all right, that's not the goal. 190 is not the goal. It was a mile marker or a benchmark, and I did it, and I'm celebrating because I focused on that. Now ask yourself, Dean, do you want to go for the 180s? I do. I can do that. I'd knock that last 10 out. Same action plan, same behaviors. Yeah, let's give it a try. Let's keep the same behaviors and action plan and see if it works. He gets down to 172, and all of a sudden he hits a plateau. Okay, he can get frustrated, or he can go, okay, something's going on. I guess I need to work on the strategy. Coach, what's up? What can we do? I'm stuck right here. Manipulate. Okay, your body's starting to hit a set point, Dean. You're getting real close to your goal. Body's starting to fight you a little bit. It's been a couple of weeks. Let's go ahead and see if we can tweak this little bit of exercise. Let's just change just a little bit right here, and let's have that. You on board? Because we're just going to see if we can push it right down past that little mark into 169. We do it. We see it. 169, man. All right. Are we done, Dean? Are we here? Nope. Still not my goal. That was a benchmark for me. 165 is where I'm headed. You guys follow?
Mm-hmm.
So chunking that stuff down into little bits, little bite sizes, and then just saying, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it no matter what. But then here's the key. When you get there, it's important that you also have in place that you're going to stop and acknowledge, is this really my goal? Because if you say that it is, and you don't focus back on the health or the performance or the maintaining part, chances are all your motivation is going to go away, and you're going to start going right back up that scale the other way. I'm going to stop there and say, what do you guys think about that, or want to add on about that, or what'd you get?
It's true.
It is true. It's very true. We've been there before.
Oh, I've been there before many times.
Yeah, we've been there before. I've been there before a whole lot of times.
Okay.
You know, you have a goal. I'm going to lose X amount of pounds, and you lose the pounds, and then you go back to doing what you were doing, and you put them back on and then some. At least I did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I like your little chunks, Alex. When I got off the phone and you said call back, you know, we should hook back up at 7:30.
Yeah.
I had 15 minutes. So I put on my little exercise video and did exercises for 15 minutes. I thought, hey, I'll get another 15 in, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, just a little bit here and there, you know, it still adds up. So.
I love it. And, you know, if you set unrealistic things, they can really disrupt. Here's the pitfalls with this, because we got to be honest. The pitfalls are when you put other things attached. Have you ever heard it in government where they call it the fat? You know, it's like you're trying to get a something bill lobbied through, and so what they say, we'll give you
pork in it.
Want to tack on this and this and this to it, right? And so sometimes in government they call it trimming the fat. Okay, whether you know that phrase or not, here's some of the stuff we do that adds a lot of extra stuff that we eventually can't achieve the goal. So when we say, I'm going to give it this little chunk, and I'm going to go for this next little 5 pounds, but I want to see that happen in the next 4 days, or that better happen by next week, you know. And when we set dates on weight loss like that, the problem is that you can't control whether or not your body's going to give that weight up or not. If it does, you feel really high and excited about it, but if it doesn't, you run the risk of feeling destroyed and defeated and whatever else. So sometimes what's good is to say, you know what, I'm going to move towards optimal health. And I get it with financial goals, this is different. This might be like if I'm going to go out and, you know, talk to 20 prospects, that's tangible. You can do that or you can't. But when it comes to weight loss, we don't know whether your body's going to give up that exact amount of weight in that time frame, whether there's hormones involved that day or that week at a certain level or whatever. What you can, though, do is say, I'm going to make X amount of choices by this time. I can eat this many meals in the next, I'm going to eat my 5 to 6 meals today. See, that's something you can completely directly influence. I'm going to drink X amount of water today. But setting dates to specific weight loss numbers can be downright defeating to your psyche, whether you think you're strong enough or not, because your part of you goes, you didn't achieve your goal. And so I would have you focus on what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for 5 pounds, and I'm going to do these action steps, and I'm going to basically go for it. And you're going to start moving it forward, and we're going to see you progress. We're going to see you move towards it. And if it takes you 3 days to do it, hey, hallelujah. Really, that's great. And if it takes you 10 days to do it and you did it, you did it. You did it. Okay? Now, if you're oscillating, going forward, backward, then that means we need to stop for a moment and we need to look at the strategy, and we need to say, okay, you've got a behavior pattern thing happening here. Let's add some coaching and some specific information into your plan in the day. Maybe we need to identify some triggers or some specific things because this is going back and forth and you're not really moving forward. So there's that. That's why we as coaching, we have these weekly check-ins where you call your coach and at least say, here's where I'm at. It's not so much so you can feel guilty or feel positive. It's just to say, here's where my actions are. Not necessarily where's my weight. It's like, how are you doing against health, right? Are you still on the healthy train or not? And if it is off little bits, you can just redirect it back on. You go more than a week though, you're twice as far off as you would have been. Does that make sense? Yeah. So that's where you want that little quick check-in. And then eventually it goes to every 2 weeks when you kind of get into maintenance mode. And then after a few months of maintenance, it goes into once a month. And you can call as much as you want, your coach. But when you've proven that you can maintain a healthy weight, that's when you want to go. You don't have to go as often. I mean, at that point in time. So keep the weekly little accountability check-ins with your support group like we were doing right here. This is it. This is an example of that, or your coach if you don't have a support group. Right now you do because you're watching this video or you're on it. But beyond the 8, I just want to say when we get past these 8 days, hopefully you'll take the information from the day and you can think about integrating it. All right. Well, I think we're there. So my encouragement moving forward to everyone is to think about what we talked about, as Carrie brought up, as Sherry brought up, and as we were discussing, little chunks of time, little chunk goals that you want to basically do, that you can put the frame in the picture where you want it to be. If you make a choice that didn't align, that's a choice. It's a choice. And you go, where am I at now? What do I want next? What do I want, and what will be my next choice to move me forward to that? And that's a place right there that can move you forward. Well, with that, what other closing thoughts or questions might there be?
Have a great 8 days. That's what I say. Go get all those points, even though Jill's definitely obviously going to win, whatever. And I think the point is that moving towards optimal health feels really good, even if you don't get all the points you could get. So.
Yeah, that's the real point, and that's it. And so if you were going to reframe that, we all get a win, right?
Yep.
Now Jill's going to, if she keeps going, she's going to have the most points. But that's good for her. Good for Jill. Yay! I'm actually happy. It's great. Yay. I love it. My wife. Yay! Right? Seriously. But as far as I'm concerned, I feel like a winner in this. I'm not going to come in. I'm not even going to come in number 3 out of you guys. You guys rocked it. I mean, I basically I'm going to come in, and wherever I come in. But you know what? I'm going to just be straight up. This challenge has been so good for me because I've been able to look at it a little bit differently. Hearing all the stuff that's been coming in, I really, really feel I'm going to maintain a higher level of health after this challenge than I ever have before.
It's been a good one.
It really has. I believe there's going to be some behavior because I'm thinking clearer than I've thought ever before because I've gotten a little bit better. And damn right I should be. I mean, this is like the 3rd challenge I've done with this, but I've done lots of challenges. And I do them because I want to be a little better. That was my goal, be a little better than what you were before.
You always get something. You always learn something new. You always get something different out of each one. So.
Yep.
I know in the last challenge, I stayed at a DoubleTree, and when they offered me the cookie, I'm like, well, it would be rude to turn them down. And so I'm happy to say I was like, no, thank you. And then I was sobbing all the way back to the bedroom. But then I'm like, okay, I'm good. And I made it. I stayed at a DoubleTree without eating the cookies. I'm just saying it can be done. I'm proof.
And not only that, you actually get to talk about it and be like, I'm victorious. I'm victorious.
That's right. I beat the cookie. And they're warm. They're not like old cookies. These are freshly baked, aromatic, world famous cookies turned down cold.
That's like when we were on the road, we pulled into a pilot truck stop. And it's the one in Chemult, Sherry. I'm telling you, you walk in there and you just get hit, bam, with Cinnabon. I mean, just wham, just hit you in the face. And you go over to get a cup of coffee. I'm going to get a cup of coffee because we're driving on the road. And right next to the coffee, they've got a stand with somebody manning the stand, warming them up and putting all the frosting and stuff on them. I was so tempted. I mean, I love cinnamon and that smell and everything. I thought, get the coffee, go. Get the coffee, go.
I'm not going into that truck stop. I'm just
saying, man. And they have it every time. It's terrible. I got to find a new place to get coffee.
and this is so neat because, listening to you guys talk about this, my old style of coaching, like from a few years back, and maybe even, I don't even know, maybe it's not even that far back, would have been not in reaction to this, but in reaction to whenever you have temptations, you just got to fight them. You just got to basically, just use your power to get past that, or just, make sure you get your workout in if you choose that, but really the upgrade that's happened to me is to go, okay, so sounds like you really like those cookies and the Cinnabon. This is somebody who used to love cookies and Cinnabon. I mean, I still like cookies, don't get me wrong, but they don't have the emotional power to me. Like talking about it doesn't make me hungry anymore. If I see them, it's where I have a problem is if I start the first one or two, and then I'm going, oh, what am I doing with these? And then I start having the temptation after I have one. But before I have it, I don't have it anymore. So I've gotten a little further away from it. But the point I wanted to make here is that I've learned it's okay to struggle. It shows that you're actually moving in the right direction. It's actually a sign that you're choosing a greater purpose, because the people who aren't struggling usually are the people who are just giving in to everything, so there's no struggle.
Yeah, like all those people in line to get those cinnamon rolls.
Yeah. Okay, if the next time she offers me a cookie, I'll be like, it's a sign.
It's a sign?
Yeah.
And what I think I missed the point. What was that? It's a sign.
No. You said it's a sign if you're struggling with it, that it's a good sign. So that's what I'm saying. It's a good sign.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you're saying, oh my goodness, because that means you're aware that this is because remember in the past when you didn't even think about it, you just grabbed the cookie?
No, in the past, I'd get up to the room and I'd be through my first or second cookie. I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Where did I get this cookie from?
No struggle though, right? No struggle.
There's no struggle. I just ate the damn cookie. It was easy.
And you go, well, that sounds better. That sounds better. Oh yeah, except for I forgot about the heart disease and the way I judge myself in the mirror, the way I feel out of breath. Oh, so there is a struggle. It's just a different one. There's no immediate, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so and this is the thing. You probably saw my Facebook post, or somebody might have read it. It was long, and I just wanted to go on a little bit of a rant for those who read the long post. And it's on there from yesterday or today. I can't remember, but it's about an actual client. This is a client I had a conversation with yesterday, and it's about she's struggling, but she's down 85 pounds. She feels so much better, but she's still struggling, right? Yeah. And I said, wow. I said, but you know what? You're not suffering the same way that you were before. And now you're suffering for something you believe in. And is it worth it? Would you rather be struggling on the other side for something you don't want that's not serving you? Or would you rather? And she was like, that's where I'm at. I'm so free that I'm okay. I'm okay. Is it worth it? So I can deal with a few good smelling cookies and some wines that look attractive or some other foods that look attractive and say, you know what? I don't, and no, you're wrong. When you're at maintenance or whatever and you have a cookie or you drink a glass of wine here and there and you're maintaining a very healthy way, it's not an enemy. It's just food, It's when it's basically you're not able to control your weight and you just keep going back to a pattern. That's where those things are areas where you go, it's worth struggling against. Mm-hmm. I just want to say, give you guys some light at that. I mean, not that living one guy, I know we're going way over. One guy said once, I was at a presentation and he was listening. He goes, this is all good and all. And I like all these testimonials and I see all this success, but when do you actually get to start living again? And then the presenter said, well, what do you mean by that? I just want to clarify. He was like, so when do I get to eat a Big Mac again? And he goes, can I be really honest with you? And the guy was like, yeah, that's where I'm at. I want to know the truth. He goes, well, first off, I want to know is your definition of really living a Big Mac? And the guy was like, well.
It is 2 old beef patties, special sauce.
Yeah, exactly.
Pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun.
The guy stopped and he didn't know what to say. We were all sitting there looking at it, and I was sitting there going like, oh my goodness, I never thought about that. This guy's definition of really living is Big Mac.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's killing him.
It's killing him. So, and then he broke it down to that. He goes, isn't that interesting? He goes, can I continue to be really honest? This isn't about you, sir. Thank you for being honest and open. But is this food really causing you to live more? Or is it one of the reasons you're here today to want to actually have the life? What really matters most to you? What matters more than the Big Mac? Because, you know?
Yeah.
He goes, one day, my hope is that one day you might actually have such a breakthrough and become so free that the Big Mac doesn't have any pull in any bearing in your life. And if you choose it or you don't choose it, it doesn't make a dent in your health, but it really doesn't have the emotional, you know, hey, Jill, I'll see you in just a minute. Love you. Sending her pictures.
You know what? And how cool for the guy to have been bold enough to ask a question that lots of people in the audience are not asking, because who hasn't had that question? You know, when do I get to have like tonight they had chocolate cake and all different kinds of pies and everything. And, you know, a month or so ago, I would have been like, really like, I can't believe I don't get to have that. And I'm not saying I didn't look over and go, oh my gosh, they look really good, because they did look good. But that for that guy to ask that question helped everybody in that audience, because other people just won't ask that question. And if somebody's honest enough with you to say, hey, listen, is a Big Mac really living, or is a piece of chocolate cake or a cookie or a Cinnabon or any of those things really what you call living? If somebody doesn't ask those hard questions, and that's the value of great coaching, then people stay stuck in that rut. So that's a great story for you to share and end with, Alex.
Wonderful. All right. Well, with Sherry saying that it's time to sayonara. How does it Lawrence Welk show go? Good night.
I don't even know that.
You know what Lawrence Welk is? Oh my goodness, my grandma used to.
No, I've heard of Lawrence Welk. I'm not saying I haven't heard of him. I just don't know what he said.
Yeah,
I never
can't
watched
remember exactly. I was hoping one of you guys watched Lawrence Welk, but you probably did. Well, I could have had a good ending. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Good night, everyone.
Don't forget what you learned and heard. Put it
Absolutely.
Don't forget.
All right.
Don't forget. Okay.
All right. Well,
bye.
Talk to you soon.